We're going to come back to home shores now, to the UK in Hartlepool. Shafia Said sent in a few questions. She's has asked for these questions to ask. It's a friend of hers who doesn't have a direct link to MTA, but inshallah, Shafia, we will get your questions and the answers rather sent over to you as well, so be rest assured on that. But thank you for your questions. Her first question, simple one: why do we assume that God is good? Azhar Saab.
It's not an assumption. It's a perception through experience and what we're being taught about the nature of God. And the very world all around us, in fact, is showing us the goodness and the greatness of this, our Creator. There's this old saying about an Arab who passes through the desert, and someone asks him the question, how do you prove that God exists? And he says that when I walk through the desert and I see in the desert the fecal matter of the camel, the droppings of the camel, I know a camel has passed through this way. And when I see the footsteps of a man, that I know a man has passed through this way. How can it be when I look around this grand universe and see its order and its beauty and its design, and every part of it is interdependent but supports every other aspect of life? It cannot have a Creator who is good, who is wise, who is prominent in every particle of life. This is the perception of a true believer looking at the world we live in. And who doesn't think this world is good? How we came into this world through the passage of a womb after 9 months of being in that very small cavity, so to speak, being fed through the blood channel of a mother, and then suddenly emerge into life when in that very second of our first breath is so critical. If everything doesn't go in order, we would have perished. As soon as we're born, look at the goodness of God again, that we'd have to express ourselves for the rest of our life and still couldn't count the favors and blessings of God. He says, if you try to count my blessings, you can never enumerate them. And He's given us the milk, He's given us the air, He's given us the light, He's given us companions, He's given us all these things throughout our life. And we just reflect on that alone. We understand that God is good. Come what may in our lives in terms of trials, as we talked about already, and the difficulties of ups and downs, but the very goodness of this Creator, this sustainer, this provider, this one who nurtures and develops us to the higher and higher stages. When we were nothing, absolutely, he says in the Quran, كَيْفَ تَغْفَرُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَكُنْتُمْ أَمْوَاتٍ. How can you disbelieve in God when you were nothing? You didn't exist. And now you come into the world and lo, you're disputing about my existence, that I'm not nothing and you're everything. It's amazing how it is. There's a verse in Quran I would love to share regarding this, and it speaks on all these bounties, and in the end it asks man to reflect on what condition he is in. This is in the chapter of Ibrahim, of chapter 14, verse number 33 to 35. Again, if you don't enumerate Bismillah, that would be 32 to 34. It says, Allah is He who created the heavens and the earth, and caused water to come down from the clouds, and brought forth therewith fruits for your sustenance. And He has subjected to you the ships, that you may sail through the sea by His command. And the rivers too has He subjected to you. And He has also subjected to you the sun and the moon, both performing their work constantly. Imagine if they stopped for a second. The sun would just stop revolving for a second and giving the heat. What kind of world we would live in. All these blessings. And He says, and He has subjected to you the night as well as the day. And He gave you all that you wanted of Him. And if you try to count the favors of Allah, you will not be able to number them. Verily, man is very unjust, very ungrateful. This is the subject matter being described in all the bounties and blessings we receive from this beneficent God. And in the end, He says, the sad part of it all, this equation is, this whole scenario is, you still don't recognize the goodness of my being toward you. Even when you could not ask for it, I provided everything.
And that's an important point. I think the implication of some of the questions have been, Yasab, that just because God only cares about those of faith. Indeed, if someone is an atheist, it is a person of faith, a Muslim's belief as well. God looks after everyone. God's the creator of everything. It's not discarding those who do not believe in him.